Keyword Mastery. Successful keyword research for beginners. Hi everyone, it's Carl here and thank you so much for getting Keyword Mastery. I'm really happy you've made the decision to take my course. During this short introduction, I'm going to explain to you exactly what Keyword Mastery is and what you can expect to get from this course. I'll start off by telling you a little bit about myself, Carl, the person who's created this course, and why I feel I can help you. I'll explain in more detail exactly what's within Keyword Mastery. There's 3 sections and I'll tell you exactly what you can expect in each one. I'll make sure you are fully aware of the top 5 things that this course will teach you and also the benefits that you can expect to receive by taking this course. I'd like to start off by telling you a little bit about myself so you know who I am and you can put a face to the voice. That's me there in the photo. I'm a 32-year-old husband and father from the UK. I actually now live in Barcelona, Spain and have done for the last nearly 8 years actually. We have a young baby who's nearly 1 year old and I married a local girl, a Catalan girl, back in February 2013. I'm an internet marketer and niche site creator. What this means is that I've been creating niche sites and doing internet marketing for a number of years now. It's something that started off as a hobby and I've taken more seriously over the last couple of years. I've also dabbled in review site creation, and review sites, for anybody who's not so familiar with those, are basically the sites where you select a range of products and you do reviews of them with affiliate links. So you do it with a view to create income by reviewing other people's products. I have my own blog and I'd put a link in there for you to have a look, so by all means pop on over to my blog and say hello. You'll be more than welcome to. And I'm also a content creator and writer. This is something that's come naturally from the fact of having many websites and my own blog. I've also created content for other people and I enjoy doing that. I enjoy writing. It's something that it comes, I would say, fairly easily to me, and being native English, it helps, I think, and it's something that I find as a good way to express my feelings and a good talent to have. I've always been interested in everything on the internet, be it everything from when I was a teenager and on chat rooms, discovering that I could talk to people all the way across the other side of the world, to the interesting websites that people create and also the more geeky ones. I must admit I'm a bit of a data geek. I love to see things that are very unique and very special and find out exactly how powerful the internet is in terms of the information that's provided. I've always been interested in the internet ever since I was 13 and I got my first opportunity to surf the web. It was on a children's Nickelodeon website actually, and we were at school, and since then I've kind of been hooked. Now I'm trying to use my knowledge and everything I've learned over the years to good use, and by doing so, I've decided to create this course on Keyword Mastery. I've done that because, as you can see from my experience, most of it being internet-based within internet marketing, a lot, in fact, if not all of these items that you see in front of you touch on using keywords. So it's probably been in the last 4 years that I've actually learned what keywords are and how they are used and the part they play within internet marketing and getting better rankings on Google and Bing and the other search engines. In the next video, I'm going to tell you exactly what the course is all about. I'm going to tell you about the 3 sections that it's been divided into and what you can expect to find on each one. I'd like to take some time just to briefly explain to you what the course actually has in the content. Now, I've split the course Keyword Mastery into 3 sections, and I've done this because for me it's logical to explain things in a certain order and also for you to get the most from the course and make sure that you get as much benefit as possible. Section 1, What are keywords, is all about learning exactly what keywords are, to find out the importance of them and why so many people talk about them online. I'm going to teach you in a beginner's way, and what I mean by this is I'm not going to take anything for granted, and I'm going to assume that you don't understand all the terminology that internet marketers use, because I know that when I started it was very complicated to try and follow along and learn new things when I was completely confused by the various words being used. So we're going to start off really at basic level, and this is going to be good for you because you're going to be able to quickly grasp the main concepts of keywords. I'm also going to teach you how using the right keywords can make or break a website. And what I mean by this is there are certain ways of doing keyword research and the types of keywords you can use that are going to be more helpful or actually more damaging for your website and work against you. We'll take a look at those. Finally, we'll determine the types of keywords that are going to work for you. Here we're going to look at the various types of keywords that can be used for different purposes. So whether you've got a blog or maybe an e-commerce store, we're going to look at how the differences can affect the way that you use keywords. Section 2 is going to be the keyword research itself. I'm going to take an example test case study so that you can actually follow along and look over my shoulder as I use the tools that we're going to explore to actually generate a list of keywords that we could use in a project if we had one. I've decided it's going to be a lot easier if you can actually follow along with me, so you'll be able to use these videos and pause and do the actions yourself as I go through it. For me, it's a very good way of learning because otherwise you may forget certain elements if you do the training first or you're just reading from a sheet. From this, you'll be able to look at exactly what I'm doing and copy me. So I'm going to explain to you 2 really good tools that you can use to find keywords. One of the tools I use is paid. Although you can try it for free, and I'll be showing you how to get a 10-day free trial on this, and then you can make your own judgment whether or not you want to continue or not. And the other tool that I use is completely free, so that means you can use that and this training will be able to help you, and to be honest with you, it's a very good way of getting keywords. I'll also show you how to choose the right keywords and learning which keywords to avoid, and then we'll be targeting the right keywords for your needs. So in the first section, if you remember, I'll be explaining the various concepts. In the second section, I'll be showing you how to apply those concepts. In section 3, we'll look at using your keywords to maximum effect. Now within this section, I've got 5 tricks that are going to help you to make the most of your keywords. These are things that I've learned through my own experience and from reading a wealth of information online. And I'll also share with you the best practices to follow with keyword usage. We'll be touching a little bit on SEO or search engine optimization here. And again, I'll be keeping it at a beginner level so that if you're completely new to this, you don't need to panic. You'll be able to understand and follow along with everything I'm doing. I'm also going to show you things you should never do with keywords. This is really important because just because you have good keywords, it doesn't mean they're automatically going to benefit you. And there's actually things that can happen and sometimes bad advice that you'll read that works against you and could even end up with your website or your blog suffering a penalty from one of the big search engines. Finally, I'll be sharing with you the resources I recommend for you to continue your learning and where you can find more information about keyword research and SEO. In this video, I'd like to explain to you the things that you'll learn and the benefits you should expect from taking this course. I think it's really important to set your level of expectation from the beginning so that you can recognize your achievements and understand exactly what it is you can take away from this course. Here, I'm going to explain to you what keywords are and why you need to use them. I'll explain the important role that keywords play in the online world and why people on the internet are using them. You'll also learn exactly how to use 2 very good tools to find keywords. And I'll be showing you the quickest way to use these tools to get the most power from them without overthinking the process or taking longer than you need to. Finally, I'm going to show you how to use your chosen keywords correctly. There's no point having a list of great keywords if you don't know how to apply them, and we'll be looking at that within this course. I'd like to explain the benefits that you should expect by taking this course. Now, what I did to get this was to put myself in your shoes and assume that if I was taking this course from the very beginning and had no prior knowledge of keywords or keyword research, what would I take from it by the end of it? Now, I think that you will understand by the end of this course exactly why you need to use keywords and put yourself in a position where you're able to compete for better rankings on the search engines. Now, I can't guarantee that you're going to get to position 1, but by applying the things that you're learning, you're going to be giving yourself a much better chance of appearing on the first page. You're also going to be able to target the right people for your website by using keywords. Now, the benefit of this is that it's going to boost your organic traffic and visitors. It's very important because one of the big parts of SEO is being able to provide good content and good information. This is something that Google and the rest of the search engines love to see. we're going to work on improving your SEO knowledge. Now, although keyword research and using keywords is only one aspect of SEO, it's going to definitely help you to get a better understanding of how you can do certain things to appear better in the search engines and improve your rankings. Finally, I had to put this one in because it's something that I benefited from by taking a course and learning about keyword research, earning more money online. Now, perhaps your target isn't to earn money online, and that's fair enough, but if you do expect to monetize your website or your blog at some point, by having these good SEO practices and using keywords, you're going to help yourself to earn more money. So, without any delay, let's jump straight into the next video and start section 1, where you will learn everything you need to know about keywords and why you need to start using them. Section 1, Keywords Explained. Everything you need to know. Okay, so we're going to get started and stuck in with exactly what keywords are and teaching you a bit of background information so that you can understand the part that keywords play on the internet and why people use them. I think it's really important just to give you some background information and a working knowledge of keywords before we start looking at generating lists of new keywords, because otherwise you're doing things without really understanding why you're doing it. And it's a key part of any learning process to make sure that you know what you're doing. I'm not going to take anything for granted, as I mentioned earlier, or assume anything. I'm going to go through step by step as if you've never heard of keywords before. Now, if I explain something that seems simple or very basic and it's something you've learned before, fantastic. It's good to refresh your memory. But by doing it this way, I know that I have explained everything as best I can, and you're not going to be there scratching your head wondering what I just mentioned. I guess the most logical place to start is by explaining what keywords are. Don't you agree? Now, keywords are words and phrases typed into search engines to help users find information they are looking for. That's my unofficial but official definition of what I believe keywords to be. Now, let me explain this to you in a bit more of a contextual way. So, every time you go onto a search engine, whether it's Google or Bing or any other one that you use, and you type something into that search box, you have just typed in a keyword. It's as simple as that. Now, there are different types of keywords, and we're going to explore that a little later on in the course. But for now, really, all you need to understand is that anything that's typed into a search box can be considered a keyword. I'm willing to bet that you already kind of know that keywords are important, even if you don't know why at this stage. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't have got this course or be taking the time to invest in learning exactly why keywords should be used. Here, I've decided to explain why I feel keywords are so important, starting with the fact that they're used by search engine algorithms to determine the relevance of a web page. What I mean by this is that search engines aren't human, they are computers. Algorithms are the things that are used so that when you type a keyword into a search page, the search engine's able to provide you with relevant results. So what it basically does is it takes your keyword that you've entered or whatever it is you're looking for, and then it looks through all the data that it has and all the indexed web pages that are stored within Google, and it comes back to you with something that's relevant. Keywords are the connection between what you're searching for and the information that's provided to you in the search results. Keywords also help to rank websites and the content within a search engine and can increase organic traffic. This is linked to part 1 of what I've just explained to you, in that the keywords and relevance of a website compared to what somebody's just typed into the search engine will help to provide you with more traffic if what you are offering is relevant to what's being searched for. Now, if that didn't make sense, let me try and explain it another way. When somebody types something into the search box about, dinosaurs, if you've got a web page that has keywords and information about dinosaurs and is a good source of content and information that's relevant to what the person's searching for, then this is going to help to boost your website and push it closer to the top of the first page results. This, in turn, will give you more organic traffic, which is natural visitors who find your website from search results. Finally, I think keywords are so important because they allow your page to compete for popular searches and content that's in high demand. If you just write something about dinosaurs and don't give any consideration to the keywords that you're using, the chances are that it's just going to get lost and will never be seen in Google search results. The important thing here to remember is how often do you go past page 1 of any kind of search results? Not very often, I bet. This is why it's so important to use keywords effectively to boost your chances of appearing on that first page of results for the keywords you're competing for. I'd like to just take a moment to discuss how keywords are actually used. Now, this graphic that you can see on the screen is quite basic, but I've done that intentionally because today I don't really want to get into anything too complex. So I want to just keep things simple so that you have a background knowledge so that when we do begin using keywords, you understand a little more. This isn't really a study or an in-depth analysis of why we use keywords. So for now, I think this is sufficient. First of all, a need is identified. Now, this could be an article, a post, a product page, e-commerce, personal blog, anything that you can think of that has text and is published on the internet. Then, a relevant keyword is found. Now, this revolves around doing good keyword research and discovering the keywords that are suitable for the post and that are also going to be searched for by people when typing words into the search engines. Then, using a combination of the two, the content is created and it's used with the keyword that you've chosen after doing your research. So, for an example, if your keyword is light bulb and you're writing an article about light bulbs, then you'll create your content using the keyword within that text so that when people search for it, they're more likely to find your content. Keywords are used in pretty much any place you can imagine that has written text on the internet. It can be blog posts and articles, and in fact, although I haven't put it here, images also use keywords, but I'm not going to get into that today. E-commerce product descriptions is another place where relevant keywords are often used. So, when you're searching on Amazon or any website that sells a product, the description that you read has carefully been written to include certain keywords, so that when you search for the product online, this product description is more likely to find you. Niche websites targeting a specific topic. Now, I've mentioned this already, along with review websites, as being something I've got experience in. Now, I know that if I want to get as much organic traffic as possible, I have to be very careful in which keywords I choose and ensure that they're relevant to the topic that I'm writing about. So if you have something, I don't know, for an example, metal detectors as your topic on your website, you need to make sure that you select keywords closely related to metal detectors so that when people are searching online, they're more likely to find your material as opposed to somebody else's. Let's take a moment to look at the relationship between keywords and search engines in a little more detail. I think the easiest way to explain this in a way that doesn't get too complex is to say that search engines scan documents to discover keywords. So basically, for anyone who's not too sure about what happens for a search engine to discover a web page, when you write a piece of content, it's indexed within a search engine. What this basically means is that the search engine discovers your piece of content and logs it as something that can be discoverable within that search engine. So Google and Bing, for example, have two different page indexes. One page that appears on Google will only appear on Bing if it's been indexed by Bing as well. So what this means is that the search engines have to scan and what's known as crawl across all new web pages and look at the content that's actually within them. So when you put a new blog post or piece of content on the internet, you are waiting for the search engine to crawl and find your piece of content before it will appear in the search engine results. Otherwise, there's no possible way for the engine to know that you've actually written anything. So what they do when they index a page is to scan the document and the text to discover certain keywords and try and get an understanding of what the page and content is about. They look for certain patterns, connected phrases, similar words. And to be honest with you, this is the magic of search engines like Google. The fact that they're able to distinguish one piece of text from another and determine exactly what the content's about is a mystery to me. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to try and understand it. All I'm really concerned about, and all that you should really be concerned about, is what you can do to make sure that your content is understood the best it can be by the search engines. Another thing that search engines do is to analyze the relevancy in comparison to other URLs and other pieces of content. What it will do then basically is match up everything that you've written in your piece of content against the other things that it can find and that has indexed in its search engine to determine which piece of content is more worthy of appearing higher in the search engine results. Now, when pages are indexed, they're basically in competition with each other. So if you write something about tennis rackets and 1,000 other people have written something about tennis rackets as well, the search engine algorithm, if you remember we discovered that earlier on and talked about that briefly, the search engine algorithm is going to analyze your page against that 1,000 others and try and establish which page provides the most value to the reader depending on the keyword that has been entered by them. There are a number of benefits of using keywords, and we've already touched on some of those, but one of the biggest ones I guess that's happening at the moment because of the focus on SEO is the fact that you should see an improved SEO performance. This means higher rankings. Now, SEO, search engine optimization, is the practice of optimizing your content so that when search engines discover it, they position you in a higher ranking than other pieces of content related to the same topic. What this means is that when somebody's making a search, they're able to find more relevant information. And this is a win-win situation because it also benefits you as the content creator, because it means that the people who come to your website are more likely to spend longer reading your information because it's of real interest to them. The issue with having a lot of people come to your website and being disappointed with the information or not finding information that's exactly what they're looking for is the fact that you're going to have a high bounce rate, and it also means that Google over time will see this as an indicator that you're not providing good information. So, as I've said here, one of the final benefits I want to touch on today is the fact that you have an opportunity to find your ideal audience and build subscribers. This again could be looked at from a number of angles, but I want you to focus on the fact that one day you could possibly want to monetize your blog and generate an income from it. Now, if that is your aim, it's going to be important that the people that visit your blog are very, very interested in your content, because that way they're more likely to be willing to spend money on the products that you're promoting there. It's also very important to mention the fact that by building subscribers, you are pushing towards building a bigger income. If you have regular subscribers who sign up to your email list or come back to your website on a regular basis to see new content, they become more familiar with you and the content you produce, which builds trust. And when you have trust, you can sell products to people. And when you sell products to people, you make more money. You may remember earlier on that I mentioned that there are actually different types of keywords, or at least there's ways of grouping keywords depending on how complex they are, or how many words they use, or exactly how much detail they go into. I'm going to give you 3 common examples of keywords here, but it should be more than enough to keep you going for now. First of all, we have generic keywords. In this example, I've used running shoes. If you're somebody who's looking for running shoes, the most basic and most obvious thing to type in as a keyword into Google search or any other search engine would be running shoes. This is the general search term that the majority of people would use. Now, to get a bit more complex, you might go into a further layer and look for a broad match keyword. So for example, Nike running shoes. You're being more specific, but you're still open to pretty much any pair of Nike running shoes that might be available. You then have more specific, and these are the ones that most people focus on these days, as being called long tail keywords. Now, a long tail keyword is when you're searching for something extremely specific. Now, in each of these different terms, there are variances and benefits to using each. However, one thing you should consider is that as you go each layer down, so from generic to long tail keywords, you're going to have less people searching for long tail keywords as you are for generic ones. So This actually increases the amount of competition you have. Now, if you write an article about running shoes and you have a keyword, the keyword you select, is running shoes, there are going to be thousands and thousands of other pieces of content with a main keyword as running shoes. So the chances of you being able to get to the top of Google is pretty slim. However, if you've got an article that's very specifically about a certain running shoe, like in this example, the size 10 Nike Whirlwind 2016 running shoe, and you've selected this as your chosen keyword, then the chances of being up against other competition is a lot smaller than if you just simply typed in running shoes. It also means that your audience is more targeted, because if somebody goes to the trouble of typing in size 10 Nike Whirlwind 2016 running shoe, and you've got information specifically about that, then it means that they're going to be more interested in what you have to offer. This is one of the big benefits of using long tail keywords. You really do get an audience who are interested specifically in exactly what it is you have to offer. Now I'm going to let my friend Mr. Dinosaur help to explain the difference between generic, broad match and long tail keywords. As you can see, the number of results on the left hand side against more generic to more specific results. You'll start to understand perhaps why we call it long tail keywords. The generic ones represent the first part of the dinosaur, his head to his front feet, and you'll see that there's a huge number of results, and the results that it generates are much more generic. However, as you go through broad match and down to long tail, you'll see that the search volume decreases, as well as the cost and competition to advertise. As you get to long tail, you do have lower search volume, lower cost and lower competition, which means it's more easy and more accessible for you to get to the front page of Google for the chosen keywords. I highly recommend finding long tail keywords for your articles, because although you may not have tens of thousands of visitors, the more long tail keywords you're able to rank for on the first page of Google, the more traffic overall that you're going to get. We'll discuss this in more detail a little later on. Well done, you've reached the end of section 1. Now, what I'd like to do before we move on to section 2 and really get our hands dirty and start generating lists of keywords is to just really review what we've looked at so far. Keywords are the words and phrases typed into search engines. Search engines use keywords within text to determine the content and theme of what's being written. Search engines use algorithms to match indexed content to the keywords being typed into the search bar. Results are based on how relevant the search engine determines a keyword to be against all indexed content. You can use keywords to improve your chance of being on page 1 of search results. Keywords can be generic, broad match, and long tail. As I said, I wanted to keep things quite high level and nothing too complicated, because after all, you're here to find out how you can use keywords, not just to study about them. In the next section, as I mentioned, we're going to start using lists and the tools to actually generate keywords and find out how you can begin using them in your day-to-day projects. See you in the next video. Section 2. Learning to do keyword research. Welcome to the middle section of this course, teaching you how you can do keyword research. Now in section 2, we're going to actually be getting hands-on and using the tools that I use when doing my own keyword research. I'm going to show you 2 tools that I use, one of which is completely free and supplied by Google, and the other is a paid tool that you can subscribe to. However, I'm going to show you how you can get a 10-day free trial to sample it and see if it's something that you want to use before spending any money. Either way, whichever decision you make, I'm going to give you 2 great resources for discovering how you can find good keywords. In this section, we're going to discover how to find suitable keywords for a range of different projects. We're going to learn to use 2 great tools step by step. I'm going to give you an over-the-shoulder example that you can follow along to, so that you can understand the importance of keyword research. As I said, I'm going to give you an example. So I'm going to create let's say project, where I'm going to create a scenario and take you through the steps of doing keyword research to end up with a suitable list of keywords you could then use to create content and rank for those keywords in the search engines. Let's get cracking. As promised, I'm going to provide you with an over-the-shoulder look at exactly how I do keyword research. I think that the best way to do this is by creating a case study and going through the steps as if I was doing an actual project that I was looking to make money with. So, I've created Baseball Glove Gold. The project outline is that I need to create a website about baseball gloves with the aim to sell baseball gloves online. In order to do this and get as much organic traffic as possible, I need to create content for this website that attracts people who may be interested in buying a baseball glove. What this means is that the website will be split into two sections. There'll be the section that actually has products that people can buy, and then a blog. Now within the blog there will be a number of articles that each target different keywords. So when somebody on the internet is typing a search keyword into the search box, they are more likely to find my baseball gloves, and by doing so, I hope to generate more money. As you may remember, before I mentioned that long tail keywords are a great way to improve your chances of being ranked on the first page of Google. The only downside to those is that they don't have as many searches or as much volume as much more competitive generic keywords. So the idea here is to have as many different long tail keywords in as many different articles as possible, which should hopefully balance out against the fact that you have lower search volume. Next, I'm going to show you the tools that we're going to be using. Up until this point, I haven't actually talked to you about the tools I use when doing keyword research. I haven't tried to keep it a secret from you. I just think that we've been more focused on other important matters. Don't you agree? So now I'm going to talk to you about the two tools that I use when doing keyword research. The first of the two tools, and the free option, is using the Google Keyword Planner, which is available through the Google AdWords platform. It's available online with nothing to download. You do need a Gmail account, so if you don't have one of those, make sure you sign up. It's completely free. If you're unsure how you can do that, then look in my bonus section, because there you will see a step-by-step guide on how to sign up to a Gmail account. The thing I like about this keyword planner is that it uses data from Google, which, as everybody knows, is the world's biggest search engine. It's easy to use, and for me, when I was just getting started out, I needed something that was easy and free. This suited my needs perfectly. To be honest with you, I still use it even today, although the paid option for me is a little more intuitive for finding the ideal keywords. You can still do it with the keyword planner, you just need to know what to look for. The second of the two tools is Longtail Pro. Now, Longtail Pro is a piece of software that was developed by a gentleman named Spencer Hawes. He's the owner of nichepursuits.com, which is a website geared at people who would like to make money online by following Spencer and his pursuits and various projects that he has tried over the years. Spencer actually got to the success that he has by creating niche websites. And by doing niche websites, I mean he created several very small websites which looked at specific interests and very small specialized topics. And by doing so, he managed to monetize those. And by using long tail keywords, he was able to get as much organic traffic as he needed. The thing I love about Longtail Pro, although you do have to pay for it, is that it's extremely easy to use. The information that you get is very, very detailed, and what Spencer does is he pulls in various data from a number of different sources, combines it all, and gives you the easy to understand key metrics. Now, the key indicators that you get with Longtail Pro make it very, very simple to quickly identify if a keyword is worth pursuing or not. As I mentioned, Longtail Pro is a paid option, and you will be paying a monthly fee to use the Platinum version. I do subscribe to it because I think it's completely worth the money. However, if you want to try it out, there is a 10-day free trial that you can use by following the link in the bonus section. In this case study, I'm going to repeat my keyword research in exactly the same way for both tools, and we'll be able to look at the data to see if we get the same results in each one. If not, we'll be able to make comparisons and decide on which keywords are the best and why. I think this is a good exercise to do to show you the main differences between Longtail Pro and the Google Keyword Planner. As I've mentioned, I like both and would probably lean more towards Longtail Pro if I had to choose between one or the other, but because of the fact the Keyword Planner in Google is free, I'd advise anyone who's just getting started to start there. Before I take you over my shoulder and into a demonstration of how to use the two tools we've just looked at, I'd like to break down what we're going to do into two simple steps, just so it's easier to digest and you've got something to refer back to if you're unsure about any particular section. First of all, step one, we're going to identify seed keywords. Now, if you've never heard of what a seed keyword is before, it's simply a generic word associated with the topic. Think back to what generic keywords are. This is very, very similar. Okay, so I've got a task for you. I want you to open an Excel file or use a pen and paper, and you're going to list as many seed keywords as you can think of for our project, Baseball Glove Gold. Don't overthink the process and spend a maximum of 5 minutes doing this before you go to the next video. Just to give you some clues and ideas, what I usually do when doing the first step of keyword research is to clear my mind and think about the topic of the website or blog post that I need to write. In this case, it's baseball gloves. There you go, I've just given you one seed keyword straight away, baseball glove. Now, what other words spring to mind when you think of baseball glove? What words are connected? Try not to get too deep into this, but on a surface level, what kind of things would you immediately connect with a baseball glove? Have a go now and see how you get on. In the next video, I'll share with you the ones that I found and we can compare against your list. Okay, so how did your first piece of seed keyword research go? In front of you, you'll see the list of words that I created when I sat down and did it myself. I do this in exactly the same way every single time and have found it to be the most effective method for getting seed keywords. I simply open a new spreadsheet, think about the topic and write down the first 10 or 15 words that I can think of connected to that first topic. So the first one that I won't give you any credit for is baseball glove. And you'll see that a lot of the words that I've used are very connected to baseball glove, either using the word baseball or using the word glove, or perhaps using both. Now, you have to remember at this stage that these aren't the final words that we're going to write content about. We're going to use these to get words which go into more detail but are connected to these. That way, we should be able to find long tail keywords that have less competition and will be easier to rank for within search engines. Follow my tips in order to get the best list of seed keywords each time. You need to list the most general, obvious words first. Think about what most people would look for. Imagine yourself sitting in front of a computer, opening Google and performing a search. What would be one of the most obvious things you would look for? Also, when doing seed keywords, limit your list to 15. It's usually the first 15 words that you think of are the most relevant. You can always repeat the process with another list later on, but I only ever have up to 15 words when doing keyword research. Otherwise, the results you get are a little inconsistent and not very reliable. Step 2 of keyword research is to enter the seed keywords into the tool of your choice. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'll be entering the seed keywords into both tools so that you can see exactly what results come up. From a very high level view, you're going to use the list of seed keywords for whichever topic it is that you're writing about. You're going to place them into the tool. In this case, as I've written, I'll place them into the two tools. Discover related keywords from the seed keywords you enter, and then we'll analyze those keywords to create our final list. It sounds pretty simple, but there are a few things we're going to have to do along the way to ensure that our final list of keywords are going to be ones that we should be able to rank for on Google and other search engines results. In the next video, I'm going to go through the Google Keyword Planner and show you exactly how I use my seed keywords to get a list of keywords suitable for using for my content. After that, we'll do the same for Longtail Pro, and in the end we'll have 2 lists of keywords that we can use. Ready? Let's get into it. Hi everyone. Okay, so in this video, what I'd like to do is show you how to use Google AdWords to do some basic keyword research and to really give yourself a list of possible keywords you could use for your content and articles that you may need. So we're going to continue with the baseball glove project that we're doing, and as you can see, we've got our list of keywords that we created in the previous videos for doing our seed keyword research. All I've done here is put them into a Word document separated them by a line and a comma so that we can use them in the keyword planner tool on Google AdWords. Okay, so I've copied these words here, and now I'm going to head over to Google AdWords and log in. Now, if you've never used Google AdWords before, you will need a Gmail account so that you can actually log in and start using this. It's very easy to set up and it's completely free. If you haven't done it and you're a little bit concerned about exactly what you need to do, then check out my bonus folder of this course and I'll take you through step by step on setting up an account so you can use Google AdWords. Alright, so I'm going to assume now that you've done that and you've got an account. If not, you might want to pause this video and go and create the account before you continue. Once you are in the screen and you have your account, you click sign in up the top here, and then you'll enter your email address and your password. And what I've done here is I've actually created a dummy account that's really just for training purposes. So it's not an AdWords account that I use. So you'll see it as if I've literally just set an account up, which is very good for people who are in that same position, who are new to it. If you've already used AdWords in the past, then you'll probably on this screen see any campaigns that you've used in the past. And in other videos and another course I might actually do, we'll take you through how to use AdWords itself. But today we're going to focus on the keyword research. So we will come up to Tools, click Keyword Planner, and the Keyword Planner will load up. Now, we'll actually be doing most of the work here, and it's a very easy to use interface. There are a number of options. I'm only going to focus on the ones today that I believe are most important for doing keyword research, but you can't break it, so feel free to have a play around and try and find out some different things and different ways of using it. I find that's the best way to learn how to use something. Like I said, I'm going to focus more on keyword research and giving you a list of viable keywords that you can use to target in your articles to give you a better ranking in the search engines. Okay. Now, obviously I can't guarantee it, but definitely by doing this, you're going to improve your SEO. You're going to improve your chances of actually ranking higher. So I think that it's a good practice to learn and to do with every article. So when you're here on this screen, you're going to find new keywords and get search volume data by clicking this top option here. Search for new keywords using a phrase, website, or category. And here in this first box, it says enter your product or service, and you have to remember that because this is a tool for Google AdWords, some of the boxes may give a different explanation or not make complete sense to you because we're using it for a slightly different purpose. And the reason that we use it and it does actually say something different is that historically, a long time ago, there was actually a keyword tool as part of Google AdWords, which was literally for finding keywords. However, Google updated their systems and their platform, and Keyword Planner was the new version of the keyword tool. So it's been designed to work better with Google AdWords, but we're still going to use it for finding keywords. So what I want you to do is to, bear with me, I'm going to have to go back and copy and paste these words. So copy and paste, and you'll see they're all in there. So what you would do for your own project, whatever it is, you'd first of all pick your seed keywords by doing the research as we did in the previous video, and you'd enter them all in here. For now, you can leave your landing page and your product category blank. We're going to keep it as open as possible. One thing you can do as you get more experienced with keyword research is to begin narrowing the results and using filters. For now, we're going to start at the beginning and cast our net as wide as possible. On the left-hand side here, you'll see that we've got targeting options. Now, this allows you to choose the country that you target, which means we're going to be looking for keywords that are popular in a certain country, and the values that we get in our results will only show results and data from the picked countries here. You can have more than one country, so here you can put, if it's a general website that's targeting all English speaking people, you could add United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, and this is something that a lot of people will do. They'll include these countries so that if you're not just targeting one country, you can capture more English speaking people. One thing I'd suggest is if you're selling a product, focus on the country that you're selling the product in. If you are offering services only in a certain country, then just focus on that. There's no point getting data from other countries if they're not relevant to you. So I'm going to assume that the baseball glove website is only going to target United States, and we're going to leave it like that. This is the language that we're targeting in. We're going to be targeting everybody speaking English because that's the language our website will be in. Now here you can select between getting data from Google or Google and search partners. Now search partners are the websites and advertising platforms that are used and in connection with Google. I personally believe that the data that you receive is better by selecting just Google, because these are literally just the searches that people are typing in to the search box. So I keep it as Google, but like I said, play around and look at the results and see what you get. Here, negative keywords. Now, I'll just briefly explain what negative keywords are. When you get your results of potential keywords, if you have entered any negative keywords, it will prevent those results from showing up, or it won't give you any results that contains a negative keyword. So, for example, in our seed keywords, it's for example, buy baseball glove. If we look at this keyword here. Now, if we were to enter the word cheap, because say for example we're selling a quality baseball glove and we don't want people coming here to look for cheap gloves, or let's put expensive if we only want people to look for cheap gloves. So anything that's here will basically not show up in your results. This can be used if you're targeting keywords that have duplicate meanings. Sometimes if you're looking for something in particular, you could end up getting a lot of results. I'll give you one example. Say for example, you are doing a website on windows in the house. I'm talking about glass, window frames, windows. Now, if you just type in Windows in the search, it's very likely you're going to get a lot of keywords connected to Microsoft Windows. So what you could put here in the negative keywords is Microsoft. Then it will prevent any results that have the word Microsoft from showing up. Okay? This is very good if you get a lot of results that don't make sense to you. You can go back and start adding the keywords here. The date range, this allows you to select how recently and how much data that Google provides to you. It defaults to 12 months, so it will take everything that was typed into Google between January and December 2015. But what you can do is you can get data from a longer period, a shorter period. If you want to look at something that's just happened in the last few months, you can change that. Or what you could do is look at the data in the last 6 months and compare it to the previous 6 months. Or if you're doing something seasonal and it's going to be over Christmas, for example, you may want to compare December 2015 to December 2014. And using this, it makes it possible. Again, for now, I usually stick to 12 months as default and I don't touch anything there. Just before we hit the Get Ideas button, I'm going to explain what these three are as well. Now, you have some keyword filters, and this allows you to narrow your search options when you get your results. You can actually set them in the first place so that you get a smaller amount of results in the first place. But I always prefer to get the results first and then go back and filter down, because sometimes the results I get, there'll only be a few. Other times there'll be a lot, so I need to then filter down. But either way, I prefer to start off with a bigger amount of words. Here you can see average monthly searches. What this basically does is it looks at the data that you've got in the data range here, and it gives you an average of how many searches for that keyword appear each month on average. You have to be a bit careful here, because if you think about Christmas time, the average may be very, very low, but there could be a spike at Christmas if it's for a product that's only very popular, like, I don't know, something that's very popular, Christmas trees. Now, on average, over 12 months, the searches is going to be very low. But you can guarantee in November and December there's a big spike of traffic. So these are the kind of things you have to take into consideration. Is it seasonal? Is it something that people only look for at certain times of the year? Here you have suggested bid, and this is connected to AdWords. I will let you know what it is, but you don't need to worry about it right now. Basically, this means that when you are bidding on keywords in AdWords, basically what you're doing is you're creating an advert, and it's going to sit at the top of Google if you bid enough for your keywords. Now, every time somebody clicks on that advert, you're going to be paying something to Google for the privilege of having that advert there. Now, in order to get your advert at the top of the page, you're competing against other people who have gone for the same keywords. Now, whoever bids the highest generally has their advert seen the most. So this is something, if you're using AdWords, you can use this suggested bid to try and find the right cost depending on your budget for the kind of keywords that might suit you better. Here, finally, add impression share. This is something I've not actually paid much attention to in the past, so I was hoping it could give me an explanation, and maybe I can share that with you right now. The add impression share is the number of impressions that you've received divided by the total number of searches for the location and network that you're targeting that match the keyword exactly in the last calendar month. Okay, so again, this is really focusing on the AdWords side of things. So I'm not going to really worry about that. It's something I've never used, and I really wouldn't know exactly how to start with it. So we'll leave that. And then finally, competition, high, medium or low. This is really looking at the amount of other people who are using these keywords and whether or not it's considered a high competition keyword, which means if it's a product that is extremely popular, the keyword that you're using is going to be high competition, or if the keyword is perhaps low competition, it's something that not many people, it's going to be a more niche specific query, or maybe a long tail word that doesn't get searched for very often. Okay, so now I've explained all those to you a little bit, I'm going to hit get ideas and we'll see the first keywords that come back for us. Right, you'll see it doesn't take very long. So here you've actually got groups of keywords that Google puts together for you. Again, this is looking for Google AdWords, so you'd probably pick a selection of words that are closely related as your campaign. But what we're going to do, because we want specific keywords, is we're going to click on this tab here, keyword ideas. So this is the first thing you need to do if you're following along, is to change it to keyword ideas. While it's doing that, here you can see month by month the average searches. Okay, and this is quite useful because it shows you if there's any spikes in traffic. March and April, there's busiest 2 months. Now, could that be because the season starts? Honestly, I'm not a big baseball fan because I'm from the UK and it's not a big sport here. So you'll probably know if you're watching this from the US, maybe there's some significance there. Maybe March and April are times when the season starts, people begin playing again after the winter. I'm not sure, but maybe that's why. As you can see here, first of all, we get given the results for the keywords we've put in, the actual seed keywords. So each of these ones here that I'm highlighting and going down now were our original seed keywords. I'll just explain briefly what each of these columns represent. First of all, you have the keyword. Second of all, here you have the average monthly searches. Now, what you need to remember is this is the average amount of monthly searches in the United States. This will change depending on which countries you select and how many you have. So if you're targeting multiple countries, this could well be a higher amount, but this will only show you the data that you have selected in your targeting data here, okay, the selection you have. You can highlight the graph here and it will give you specific keyword information and search information just for that one word. Up here, it's an average across all of the words, but here you can see, and again, it's March, April and May are the busiest 3 months, so that's definitely a trend there, and this is definitely the busiest time of the year for people searching for baseball gloves. Here you can see the competition, which I've already explained to you. It's how many people are searching for this keyword, using this keyword, how competitive it is in the market. And here the suggested bids. So this is basically telling you that if you were to use this in an AdWords campaign, you should set your bid and be willing to pay at least €1.03 every time somebody clicks on your ad. This column here, again, I told you I don't know much about. And then finally, add to plan. This plan here is really a collection of all the keywords that you've selected and want to use. And what you can do here is you can either add all 812, that's how many keywords we have currently. You can download, which is a very useful thing to do because it gives you all of the keywords and it's a list that you can go back to if perhaps you want to start off with a few and then check them out in the future. You can also add and remove columns if you've got too much information, if there's something that you don't particularly need to see. So like add impression share, we don't need. So I'm going to get rid of that just so it's easier to read. Now, after your seed keywords, you'll see here that these are the suggestions that come from Google. Now you can search and sort by alphabetical order in the keyword. At the moment it's by relevance, but you can change that alphabetically. You can change by the average monthly searches, so you end up with a list with the most searched for keywords first, down to the lesser ones, which is what I usually do, or the suggested bid. But again, because you're not using this for Google AdWords, then it's irrelevant. In fact, I'm going to take this one out. So you go to columns and suggested bid. Okay, now we've just got the information we really need. The keyword, the monthly searches, and the competition. The reason I've left competition in there is because if you are searching for long tail keywords, a lot of people tend to go for the lower competition words because it means they're less in the spotlight, less demanded, less being used. So that's just one theory on it. Some people say that it's irrelevant, but the experience I've got, then I tend to go for the lower ones for my long tail keywords. And if it's a keyword that I'm purposely going into a competitive market and want to compete, then I may lean towards a higher competitive word. So the next thing I'd suggest you do is to sort by the average monthly searches. Okay, that's done that. Now out of your seed keywords, we're going to look at these first. You can see that the most popular word is baseball glove, and it gets 6,600 searches on average per month. If you highlight the graph, you can actually see that the January is the lowest month at 5,400, and it peaks at 9,900 in these 3 months here. But this gives you the monthly average. The lowest search for one is buy baseball glove, and this on average gets 30 searches a month. So like what we're going to do now is we're just going to look at this, and again you can see February, March, busiest months, so only about 50 searches. So these are keywords that don't get a lot of traffic. People don't search for these very often. Now, typically when looking for keywords, I usually don't focus on anything that gets less than 100 because really it takes a lot of time to get that traffic, and although it could be easier to rank, you're not going to get a significant amount. I usually focus on keywords that have between 100 and 2,000 average monthly searches. I find that anything more than 2,000 searches becomes more difficult and more competitive to rank for, and anything less than 100, well, you may get some searches, but really it's more effort than the payoff you'll probably get. So definitely, I mean, if you're going to be writing lots of articles, start off with the keywords that will probably give you more searches to try and drive more traffic to your website. And then as you have more time and as you maybe run out of other keywords and keywords that get a lot of searches, start focusing on the lesser ones, okay? And then that way you're actually building up your website as a stronger resource all round, because once you start ranking for the lower ones and the higher ones, it will be seen as more as a authority website to Google, and this will further improve your rankings. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to split this into another video and continue with this. One thing I'm going to do, because we may need it for later before I continue, is to download all of these keywords. And you can see there's 812, and they're just ideas at this stage. So I click on download, and I'm going to download it as an Excel. And this is going to download 800 words. Now, honestly, some of these words won't be much use to it, but it's always good to start off with more and then work our way down to a smaller amount. It's just downloading those now. And while it does that, I'm going to stop this video so you've got plenty of things to try up until this point, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll look at the keywords in more detail. Okay, welcome back to part 2 of this Google AdWords research for keywords. This is the second video. If you remember, I stopped the first one just after we'd downloaded 812 keywords from our list of suggestions. We haven't filtered at this stage, and we haven't narrowed it down to keywords that we could potentially use. I explained to you that I try and keep the average monthly searches to between 100 and 2,000, because for me this is the sweet spot, shall we say. It doesn't mean to say that I am absolutely 100% correct, and this is definitely the best way to do it. Everybody has their own methods and everyone has their own preferences. This for me is the way I like to do it, and so I prefer 100 to 2,000. That's what we're going to focus on today, and in this video what I'm going to do is hone in a little more on the actual keywords and reduce the amount that we have from 812 down to a list that I would probably use to begin writing articles. I want to get a maximum of maybe 50 keywords. This should give me at least 15 to 20 keywords that would be a main keyword for each article, and the rest could work as secondary keywords. I'll explain a bit more about the difference between main keywords and secondary keywords in another video. For now though, let's begin getting this big list of 812 down to around 50. So here, if you remember, I said we have keyword filters, and you can filter for the average monthly searches. So first of all, I'm going to say that it needs to be greater than 100. Okay, and we'll see what comes out here. I'm just going to change that one for now and see how it changes the amount of keywords. If you remember, we did download all 812, so we can always go back to them if we ever need a point of reference. You can actually also upload a list of keywords. So even if you don't want to repeat this whole process again, you can actually download them and then at a later date upload them and use them in this planner. So we'll click save. And while this finishes loading, we'll see how many keywords it provides us now. Okay, that's finished now. Okay. As you can see here, we've now got 460. So that's actually halved the amount of keywords that we've got. So in the total number, we've got a large amount that have got the high thousands. You can see 5,000 as we go down to the bottom, 4,000. And we really, as I mentioned, we're only interested in ones that have more than 100, but less than 2,000. So looking at this, if I skip to the next line, you can see another page with all of these more than 2,000. And some of these words, if you look at them, some of the keyword suggestions: youth baseball uniforms, slow pitch softball bats, wood baseball bats, baseball bats again. And we're not actually selling baseball bats, and we're not really interested in keywords that relate to baseball bats at this stage. We really want to focus on baseball gloves. So this would be a good time, I think, to introduce a negative keyword, because I'm seeing the word bat and bats appear a lot, and for what we're doing right now, it's not really relevant. So I'm going to go to keyword filters. I'm going to go to keyword negative keywords. Here it is here, and type in bat, comma, space, and bats. So this will now take out any keyword that we've got that contains the word bat or bats. And we now have a total of 405. So it's taken some of them out, but it's actually replaced them probably with other words. So we're going to add some more. I can see the word bags in there. And really, baseball bags, we're not very interested in. So we're going to... it defaults it to a new line, so we're going to put in bags, and that will... okay, so what you can see it's doing actually is reducing it slowly, 396. But what I think happens here is maybe Google only gives you a certain amount in the first place, so actually removes some but fills it with others. So we're going to, as we look through this, if we see any others we could add to the negative keywords, we'll add those. But one thing I'm going to do is start looking... okay, and on the second page of results, you can see here that we get under 2,000. And this is what I said, for this particular keyword research, I want to give you the ones that I believe are easier to target. So we'll skip to another page, and yeah, outfield gloves, youth batting gloves, Jordan batting gloves, softball batting gloves. Okay, so now we're getting into types of keywords we could easily create articles for. Baseball stuff, it's very general, but it's something we could include in a keyword. So now that we've got this amount of keywords, I would like to filter them down, but I'm just going to download what we have here so far in a separate file with 404 keywords, because now this for me would probably replace the first list, but at the same time there could be a time when you want to have the highest searched for words, so it's possible you might go back to the first one. Okay. Now, one of the disadvantages with Google AdWords is that short of the competition and the bid advice that it gives you, it's a bit difficult to know just by using this tool if it's going to make a huge amount of difference by your rankings by going for one of these keywords, if it's going to be difficult or not. And this is one of the advantages that you'll see in Longtail Pro. Longtail Pro gives you much more of an idea of how easily you could maybe beat the competition and the other existing results in the search engine. So this is a little bit hit and miss, shall we say. Excuse the pun, because we're talking about baseball, but it is more difficult. One thing that you can do to really home in on the keyword options is you can actually change this to only show ideas closely related to my search terms. Now, I'm just going to show you what happens when I select this. And what it does is it gives you a much smaller list. Okay, now we've got 77 keywords. This, for me, as a beginner's way of doing things, would be ideal, because you're using the negative keywords, and now you've got 77 closely matched keywords to your seed keywords. Baseball glove sizing, baseball catcher's mitt. If you look at these keywords here, they're all very, very closely related. Cheap rulings, baseball gloves. This for me is ideal. So I'm going to download this list again. And this is 85. Now, I said I wanted 50, but really 85 is a good number to begin with. That's saved that. Fantastic. And you'll see that apart from the first one, which is how to break in a baseball glove, just looking at the data there, you can see that I'm guessing that this is when the season is, and this is the beginning of the season and when it goes through, because people are only looking into how to break in a baseball glove when they buy a new glove. And the rest of these have lower, much lower, 590 visits a month. And this is the kind of thing you want to be targeting. These kind of smaller, long tail words, which have 3 words or 4 words. And these are going to really be easier to rank for. And these are the ones you should target in your articles. Okay. And you'll see it goes down to 110. So now we have this list. I'm going to finish this video and we're going to open up this again in an Excel spreadsheet, and we're going to do the final part before I suggest the words that I would use as part of my keyword research and the ones that I would select to begin writing articles. Right, okay, welcome back. Now that we have some keywords, we have about 85 in total, I believe, from our last download in the Google AdWords Keyword Planner. We're now going to look at those keywords in a little bit more detail. I like to do it in a spreadsheet because it keeps everything very clean and easy to understand. Google Keyword Planner has played its part. It's given us a list of possible keywords that we could use to target so that the articles and descriptions, if it's products and things that we write and the content that we have on our website, could include these words to help rank them higher in Google. As you'll remember, before I go on, just to recap, the reason we do this is so that we can include these words in certain places in our articles, so that when people are searching online for these, we improve our chances of having our results in the first page of Google, which will then increase the amount of organic traffic to your website. Now, the reason we're doing this is so that you can get as much organic traffic to your website as possible, whether it's a blog, whether it's an e-commerce store and you're selling things, whatever the reason you have a web presence, and however that web presence is, whether it's a blog or a website, whatever you have, it's always good to increase the amount of organic traffic you have, because it's likely that if you are a business, then you'll be using paid methods, but really organic traffic's free. And this is, something that for a lot of people, you won't just rely on, but it's a very nice bonus to have. So we're going to look at this in more detail now. What I have here in front of me is the data that's been downloaded from the Keyword Planner. I'm just going to tidy it up a little bit to make it easier for you guys to see in the video. All right. I'm going to, first of all, expand the size a little bit, just so that you can see everything better. That should be easier for you now. Now, there's some columns that I'm going to get rid of. First of all, the currency. I don't need that for this. The average monthly searches, yes, we need this. This is important. Competition and suggested bid, I'm going to keep in there. Impression share, organic impression share, and organic average position, I'm going to delete because we don't need that. In account, in plan, this is to do with AdWords and extracted from, they can go as well. Okay, so these are the keywords that we have. I'm going to highlight this column because these are the actual keywords. This tells us whether it was a seed keyword or a keyword idea. We're going to keep that just so that we can remember the ones that we put initially. The average searches per month. This is also very useful because this is what we're going to be using to determine how popular a word is. The competition. This is something that if it's 1, it's considered high competition, and it goes down the lower the number, the digit there, so 56, you could say that's 50% if 1 is 100% of high competition. 32 would be low competition. So these are the competition guidelines. I don't really use these so much, but I'm going to keep them there just to see if these numbers are in any way in line with the amount of searches that people get. And the suggested bid here, finally, this is the amount of money that Google would suggest that you would pay per click. or be willing to pay if you had it in your AdWords plan. Again, it's not something we need to focus on so much because we're not using AdWords, but it's something that we can keep in there just to see if the information correlates. So now we've got our selection. I'm just going to highlight all of that. Problem is I'm used to using a PC, so on a Mac I'm not as nimble, I'm afraid. Okay, so we can see this now. I'm gonna sort this by how many searches it gets. Now the reason I want to do that is because I want to see the busiest keywords right the way down to the ones that get the less traffic. The reason for this is because I would generally focus on the keywords that generate the higher amount of searches first and then focus on the others, because really the aim of this is to get as much traffic as possible. So it makes sense to target the keywords that generate the most searches. Now, I said to you that I was going to filter anything out under 2000, over 2000 was going to be filtered out. So that would include these keywords here. Now, because we've got 85 words, and because these were the seed keywords, I am actually going to highlight these as a different color, just so we know that generally speaking, we wouldn't normally target these straight away. So the first seed keyword we've got here is 1,600 searches a month, and that is baseball accessories. So one thing we could do, if we were going to write an article and we wanted to have this as our main keyword, we could write an article about the most necessary baseball accessories for the new season. And within that, we could talk a lot about baseball glove with links to our product pages. And you can start to get an idea of how we could include this. What you need to do when you look at these keywords is think about how you could use them as part of an article or within a description of a product that you would have on your blog. So using the baseball glove as an example, I've got keywords here directly related to baseball gloves. Now, I'm going to be on my blog writing about baseball gloves with lots of information leading to product pages. So for example, if we took this one here, I like the look of this one because the competition is low and the suggested bid is low. Now this for me indicates that there's not a lot of people looking for this keyword or typing baseball glove size into Google. You get 1,000 searches a month, but there's not many other people targeting this keyword compared to baseball glove chair, for example, which is a higher competition word. So baseball glove size, 1,000 searches a month. And this is something we could easily write an article on. We could easily write an article about the various sizes. We could use a chart showing the different sizes from kids sizes up to adult sizes. We could include the most common size. We could do ladies glove sizes if they're any different. There's a whole range of things we could write, and we could target baseball glove size. And what you're trying to do by this is include everybody who searches for baseball glove size. Then in the Google results or Bing results, our page comes up on the first page. It gets a click. People who are looking at baseball glove sizes generally are looking because they want to buy a baseball glove, and it improves the chances of you making a sale. This is why we're focusing on these words. So I'm going to go through these and highlight any that seem particularly good. And I'm going to highlight them in a nice green colour like that. It doesn't hurt our eyes too much. So, baseball glove size. This is a really good one. Best use baseball glove. I'm going to highlight this because it's a long tail keyword. It's four words that make the long tail keyword. And this is something that you could write a review on a certain product. And you could write, okay, what is the best youth baseball glove? Review 5 different baseball gloves, write about them, links to the product page, and there you go. You've got a great article that gets 720 searches a month. And while you might think, there's millions of people living in America, which was where we got our data from, 720 doesn't seem a lot. But by doing this, you're actually going to be targeting other keywords as well, because although best youth baseball glove is the long tail keyword that we're looking at, if you look at this, we've actually got baseball glove in there, which is a keyword versus baseball glove here, and you can see here baseball glove. So this, looked at as a keyword, is worth 6,600. Youth baseball glove, I'm sure will be in here somewhere. There you go, youth baseball glove, 480. So what you're actually doing is combining the keywords that you've got by having one long tail keyword. And this is one of the main benefits of using long tail keywords. It doesn't just take that as one keyword. It looks at combinations. Youth baseball glove, best youth baseball glove. They're all in there. So what you're doing here is you're actually increasing the amount of traffic that you're going to be getting, not just for that keyword, but for others as well. This is the one benefit I would strongly suggest that you go on using long tail keywords for, among others. Now, what I'm going to do is go through this list and pick some others that I could instantly think of an article that I could write. Wilson baseball glove. I could easily write about the 3 best-selling Wilson baseball gloves. Breaking in a baseball glove. We've talked about this already. This is something that 590 people are searching for. Very low competition. I think it's probably quite easy to rank for. And these are keywords we could perhaps check against when we use Longtail Pro, because it will actually tell us much more information about who is currently trying to rank for these keywords. I'm going to select 10 in total, and these would be the 10 that I use for my first 10 articles as my main keywords. In section 3, we're going to look at how to use these keywords properly to increase your chances of ranking higher in the search engines. But up until this point, what you should now have are the tools and the knowledge to write a list of seed keywords, go into the keyword planner tool with your seed keywords for whatever topic you're using. Start off with a much broader amount of keywords and then dwindle it down to, I said 50, but if you can get between 50 and 100, that's not too bad either. Download them and then start looking for keywords that you think you could easily write articles on. One thing to remember in the keyword planner that you can use is the choose only closely related results if you get a large number to begin with, and that will give you ones that are very, very closely matched to your seed keywords. Now, that's one of the reasons why it's very important with your seed keywords to write down the words that you believe are closely related to the topic or the niche that you're actually working within, because then that way when you do the search for closely related items, you're going to get much more relevant results. Okay, so that concludes the Google AdWords training. I hope you found it useful. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or ask questions in the section within Udemy that you can actually do that, and I'll be there to answer them for you. Now, just as a final note, there is a lot more in-depth things you can do with the keyword planner tool that I haven't covered today. Really, this is aimed at beginners to get you started and to show you how to get some keywords and analyze the data for the keywords that are suggested in the first instance. Like I said, you could go in much more in depth, and the Longtail Pro tool that we're going to look at in a later video shows you much more detail. But to begin with, one of the most important things about having a blog or a website is to take action and start doing stuff. So this really gives you everything you need so that you can start taking action and start getting stuff done. See you in the next video. Now we're going to move on to the second piece of software that I'm going to teach you how to use in this course. And it's one that I've used for over 3 years now, and to be honest with you, I absolutely love it. It's been created by somebody who uses keywords every day themselves. His name's Spencer Hawes. He's got a website called nichepursuits.com, and really his website is the journey that he's been on in creating his own websites to make money online and various other projects that he's done very, very successfully. Now, Longtail Pro is a piece of software he developed himself, out of a need for finding better keywords. So you've instantly got somebody who understands exactly what keyword research is all about. And this is something that I absolutely love about this software. You can see that it's been created for people to use. It's very user friendly, it's got a lot of interesting information, and you can do a lot of fantastic things with it. Now, what we're going to do today is cover the basics. There are more in-depth options and things you can do, which I invite you to have a look at and try. I'm not going to cover everything today, but what I will do is ensure that by the end of this video, you are able to generate a list of keywords that can be used to create articles and give you a good chance of improving your rankings on Google or any of the other search engines. Now, if you haven't got the software, I urge you to go over to longtailpro.com. Okay, now this is where you can pick the software up from. It is a paid piece of software. It's not free. Now, the reason I've given you two options here, first of all, the Google Keyword Planner is completely free. So whatever your current budget, whatever your current level of being serious on making money online is, however experienced you are, you have two options. Now, I'm not saying that you need to spend money in order to do good keyword research, but what I will say is that to do excellent keyword research, you do need an excellent piece of software. And Longtail Pro has been made specifically for that reason. There's also an improved version, or shall I say a professional version, Longtail Platinum, which has even more features, and this is what I'm going to cover as well in this video, the differences between the two, and one feature in particular that I believe makes Longtail Platinum worth the extra investment. Once you've downloaded Longtail Platinum, we are going to load it up and see a screen like this. All right, this is what you'll see when you first join. Now, if you see anything that looks strange, like numbers down here, favorites and trash, this is just because I use this myself. Okay, I had a good cleanup of it recently, but there's still various campaigns that I've used myself. So to begin with, we're going to use the same list of seed keywords that we used on the Google Keyword Planner so that it's a fair test. One thing I will say though is that Longtail Pro and Longtail Platinum limits you to adding only 10 seed keywords at a time. This has actually been done to benefit us. It's not just a system limitation. The reason is that if you add too many seed keywords, the range of data that you'll get as in your results is too vast, it's too wide. So what's probably the best thing to do is to actually run several batches of keyword research and then compare all the results you get together if you need to. So we're going to concentrate on 10 keywords. I've just picked the first 10 keywords that we had from the previous list. We're going to go up here and create a new project. Okay, so we're going to call it baseball glove. And here you're going to see some options which are exactly the same as you would see in the Google Keyword Planner tool. First of all, you choose the country that you're targeting. So this is going to give you results from whichever country you've got here. If there's anything you're not sure about when you're using it, one of the other things I love about this piece of software is that you have highlights and question marks you can click on, which will give you a detailed explanation of exactly what that option is all about. So I'll tell you that here, like I said, it's for the country that you're targeting. The language is quite self-explanatory. The search network, again, is Google or Google and search partners. I always stick to just using Google. I prefer that. And then finally, you can choose adult ideas on or off. Now, this is a bit of a profanity filter, shall we say. If you are looking to target an adult industry and you want results that are suitable for people only over 18 years old, then you need to turn this on. Excuse the pun, but that's what you would do in order to get those kind of results. Okay, so we've got everything we need and we're going to hit create project. Now here you have the place where you're going to put your seed keywords. You also have the option, if you'd like, to add up to 10,000 keywords if you've already got a list. Now one thing you can do is use Google AdWord Planner along with this tool. If you get a large amount of keywords that you would like to target, then you can enter these keywords one by one, and what will happen is it will actually just give you the data on the keywords you enter. So this isn't actually going to give you suggestions of keywords, it's only going to use the keywords you enter, but it will give you the complete set of data regarding those keywords. Okay, so today we don't need this because we're looking for keyword research. So we're looking for suggestions on keywords we could use in addition to the seed keywords we've already got. So I'm going to just make sure I've got these here. I believe I have. Okay, they're here. So I'm going to just go and separate these all by a comma and a space. If you bear with me one moment. Kids baseball glove. Catcher glove. Buy baseball glove. And baseball accessories. Okay, so we're going to add those. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 8 keywords there, so we can add 2 more. I'm just going to go to this bottom 2 here that I had as well and enter those. There you go, 10 keywords. Now here you have options available to you, and you can either do this now or you can do it later on to really get a smaller list of results. The suggested bid, again, is not something we pay too much attention to at this stage. We're not using it to actually bid on keywords, unless of course you are going to be creating paid traffic adverts, in which case this is very useful because you can use your own budget of what you'd like to pay per click. Again, it's got an explanation here and it will tell you exactly what it's about. Here, the local search volume. Now, if you remember, we selected the United States as the area that we'll get the data from. So that is the local search volume. And here you can set limits either side. Now, I'm going to do this straight away so that we've got a fair playing field across both tools that we've used, and go from 1 for 100 up to 2,000. Now, it won't give us any details beyond that, but one thing you can do is use this to expand or reduce later on as well. So you could leave this blank and then later on you could expand it as well. So it doesn't matter too much. Advertiser competition, I'm not going to touch. I'm going to leave everything in there. And one other feature I do like about this is you can enter the minimum number of words that you will have in the results. Now, if you're looking for long tail keywords, what you could do is put a minimum of maybe 3 words. So you'll only get results of keywords that have at least 3 words in the result. Now, you also have some other options here which can be useful depending on whether or not you're targeting a global audience or not. So this first one here, global search volume, it actually gives you results based on the whole world. It doesn't just look at the one country, in our case United States, that we have entered as the local search. It will give you both columns and you can compare data to see if perhaps the country that you're targeting is perhaps maybe the biggest country in terms of overall global results, or maybe there's another country that dominates the market for these keywords. It can be useful, like I said, but if you're just targeting the US, it's not really so helpful. Here you have domain availability. Now, domain availability is useful out of a curiosity standpoint, but it's not as powerful as it used to be. I'll just tell you briefly why that is, because back when I started niche websites and creating websites that I wanted to rank highly in the Google search engine, the domain name played quite an important part, because if you were targeting one main keyword for your blog, which many people were, and you were able to get the domain as exactly the same as that keyword that you were targeting, Google would give you a boost in rankings and see it as a more authoritative domain. So this was definitely worth doing back in the day. Nowadays, Google has actually removed the bonus that it gives you for having an exact match domain, is the correct name. It's an EMD. Now, while it isn't actually going to work against you if your main keyword and your domain match, Google and most successful internet marketers will now tell you that it actually is better to focus on a domain name that's brandable and one that doesn't have to be a keyword. So, for example, with our business, the baseball glove goal of selling baseball gloves and the website we're setting up here in this case study, I could, for example, choose one of my favorite keywords that I'm going to target, which you can see here. So perhaps I would select, I'm not sure. Let's get rid of this for a second. Clear this filter. Maybe I would choose best youth baseball glove. Now, if I was to choose and buy the domain bestyouthabaseballglove.com. Okay, it's an exact match domain, but it's a bit of a clunky and ugly domain to have. So maybe if you were to pick something more creative, more memorable, something that's brandable as your domain name, you'll actually attract more customers. And not only that, but clients and visitors who do come to your website or blog are going to remember you much easier, and it's easier for them to tell you their friends where they got their baseball glove from if it's got a name that's catchy and something that attracts interest. Okay, so it's not really so important these days to actually have the domain the same as a keyword, but depending on what you choose, you may be interested in doing it. The Google title competition is something here which I have not used myself. Now, what it does is it gives you the number of websites that are using the keyword in their title of their page using Google's data. So this is the all-in title search on Google. So basically what this means is it will tell you if the title of a page is using this keyword. Now, how competitive that is, it can be useful, but at this stage we're not going to use it. The Bing title competition is exactly the same as the Google version, but obviously data is taken from the Bing search engine. Now, once you've got everything that you want here in these settings, just to recap, we've entered up to 10 seed keywords. Here, the suggested bid and the local search volume, we can enter whatever we want. I've left suggested bid and put between 100 and 2,000 as the local search volume. Advertiser competition I've left as low, medium and high, so not to restrict ourselves. A number of words I've left blank for now, but we can change later on. We're going to hit generate keywords and it's going to work its magic and find our keywords now. I'm going to actually pause this until it's created the list of keywords, and I'll see you in a moment. Welcome back. So now we have got our list of keyword results. You can see here that we've actually got 3,177 in total. Quite considerably a lot more than the Google results that we received. And on the left hand side, you'll actually see how many results were generated per keyword, seed keyword that we provided. Now, the good thing about this is you can actually select each of the seed keywords and go one by one looking at the results. Or what you can also do is look at them all at the same time, which is what we're going to do in this case, because we don't want to necessarily add any bias or take that away. Now what we have here is everything between 100 local searches and 2,000 local searches, and that's why we've got 817 out of 3,117. If I remove these filters, you'll see that jumps up to all 3,177. So I'm going to put this back to 100 and 2,000. And I'm going to click here on local searches to sort from the highest down to the lowest. Now, looking at these, you're going to have a big list of keywords, 800 of them. And we want to get down to around 50. Between 50 and 100 would be ideal. So how are we going to do that? First of all, what I would like to do is use this on the right hand side, the average keyword competitiveness. Now what the average keyword competitiveness is a feature that is specifically available in Longtail Platinum. And what it does is it calculates how competitive each keyword is in comparison to the other results it finds in search engines. So let me just explain that in more detail. And I'm going to do that by using one of the other features that the Longtail Pro has. So first of all, what we need to do is remove some of these keywords, because you can see here that cheap baseball bats is not really what we're looking for. So I think if we type a minus and then bats, it will treat it as a negative keyword. We can put a comma, and we can also get rid of softball, because that's something that we're not looking for. So minus softball. And that takes us down to 689. So just similar with the keyword planner tool that we used with Google, you can add negative keywords to reduce the amount of words that you have. So you're only really focusing on the most relevant results. So we can do that in a moment to get rid of some even further. But before we do that, I want to show you exactly what this tool and piece of software is available of doing. So I'm going to add a keyword in here, a positive keyword, so it will only include keyword results with the word glove in. Okay, so best baseball gloves. Let's take this one for example. It's got 1,600 monthly searches. The suggested bid is €1. Okay, but that doesn't really mean so much to us right now. Now, if you click on this word, it opens up and gives you the top 10 results that it finds on Google. Now, this is fantastic because when you begin taking keyword research to a new level in going into more detail, one of the things you need to do is to actually analyze your competition. And when I say analyze your competition, you need to go into a search engine, type in the keyword that you're thinking of using, and having a look at what results currently exist. Because one of the things you're looking to do here is to outrank your competition. Now, if some of the top 10 results have very weak and not very reputable websites, it's going to make it easier for you to beat them. Now, taking a look at best baseball gloves at a first glance, now you can see here the keyword competitiveness, which is what I've just explained to you, and this is in relation to the results that are currently here. Now, if you're unsure on exactly what anything means, again, you can click on the question mark and it will give you an explanation. So the official term here is it's a number between 0 and 100 that indicates how competitive the page is for this keyword. Now, what you're looking for here is numbers as low as possible. The lower the number, the less competitive it is and the easier your chance of outranking it and getting above that in the Google search results. Now, here you'll see a list of other results as well. Now, each of these takes some getting used to and learning, but there are other indicators on how good a keyword is in comparison to the competition. And what you can do, I'm not going to go through them here, but each of these gives you an explanation. And it gives you things like page links. So this shows you how many other websites have included this URL for this keyword, best baseball gloves. And it gives you an idea of how much and how popular this is going to be. What you're looking for here, as I said, is low keyword competitiveness. And this tells you the competitiveness and how good a website is for each of these websites here using the keyword best baseball gloves. Now I'm going to close that because this is the key number here. This keyword competitiveness is overall how competitive best baseball gloves is. Now it says it's 26. In the trainings that I've done, and from being a member of Niche Pursuits and using Longtail Platinum for a long time, if you can find keywords that are under 30, then you have got a potentially very good keyword to use. This means that you should be able to outrank and get to the first page of Google for this keyword if you follow best practices, which we cover in section 3, so don't worry about that. But if you use this keyword properly, you should be able to get yourself to the first page on the Google search results. All right, now we've covered that, and we've also looked at these, and just to go through this again and make sure that you fully understand, what we want to do is get our website higher than these, because this represents the first page of Google search results. Our job and our aim is to get as close to number 1 as possible. So this gives you the data for each of these websites, and it gives you an indication of how difficult it's going to be to get our website above this. So whichever keyword you're looking at, that's best baseball gloves, outfield gloves for example, it's going to give you the data for the results that come up on the first page of Google and tell you how much chance you have really of competing against it. Now another one, 24. This is showing low keyword competitiveness. So these are actually some good keywords that could be worth targeting. What we want to do to actually get our list down is to add some more filters. What you can do first of all though is you can export the keywords as the list you've got, but before we do so I just want to remove these filters. Actually no, I'm going to keep these ones in, double check they're kept in. Okay, so we've currently got 348 keywords, which is a good amount. So we're going to save this just so that we can always go back to it if we need to. Okay, it's very important that you give yourself a backup just in case you make a mistake or you delete some keywords. You've got a backup that you can go back to. Now, because we've got this list of 348 keywords that we've just downloaded, if you remember when we actually begin this part of a project, you can actually upload your own keywords. So say for example, you made a mistake, you deleted some keywords, you ruined this project. All you'd need to do is go back to that spreadsheet, copy and paste 348 keywords that you think are potentially good keywords to look at, enter them here, and you'll get all of this data back again. All right, so nothing is lost forever. What I'd like to do here is just try and get this down a little more, because we really do have a lot of words here. Now, keeping in mind what we did for the previous one to get the list down, this does give us more options than Google did. Okay, but I'm gonna change this to 200 because, again, I'm interested in getting keywords that offer me the best return for my time. So if I'm gonna write a post and I want to get as many organic visitors as possible, I'm gonna focus on the higher viewed keywords first. Okay, sorry, I nearly lost what I was saying there, but so that basically means the highest ones, anything from 2,000 down to around 1,000, they're going to be more competitive, but if you can rank for these, your organic traffic is going to be much higher. So now I've got down to that. Again, I'm going to export it again, baseball glove, and I'm going to put the number of keywords here, 197, and save that. Now, you can do other things to get that further down. Because we're looking for long tail keywords, I'm going to put the minimum number of words here as 3. That gets it down to 162. So now I'm going to put here 162 and save it. Now, you might think it's a bit pointless saving so many, but to be honest with you, I like to keep the data. You never know when you might need to go back to it and when you might need to have a look. One last thing I am going to do before we finish this video is to really take advantage of the special feature of the average keyword competitiveness. Now, as you can see here with our list of words, we do really need to get them down as much as we can by using the features available. So using keyword competitiveness is a good indicator to how easily we may rank for each of these keywords. So all I'm going to do is click here and click fetch now, and what it's going to do is start creating and analysing each of these keywords and giving us an overall number between 0 and 100 to tell us how competitive it is. What we're ideally looking for is a number under 30, but one thing we do have to take into consideration is that anything that could be considered e-commerce, so whenever you're looking at keywords that involve products or people selling an item, it does work slightly differently because Google and Bing and the other search engines will favour an e-commerce store over a normal blog or website. So these numbers can sometimes throw you a little bit into limbo, but it's always good to use this as a guide because it will always give you the overall competitiveness and the ability to look and compare against the other websites that are targeting that keyword. I'm going to pause it now and then come back to you once we have our full list of keywords. Now that's finished, we can start looking at the competitiveness of these keywords. I will start by saying that generally it's quite difficult to encounter words that have a competitiveness level of under 30. So the fact that we've got so many here between 20 and 30 indicates to me that most of these websites that are ranking on the first page are indeed e-commerce sites. Now we're going to just do a quick check on that because if we take the first one, baseball gloves for sale, here we'll have a look at the first 10 results, and my guess is going to be that they're going to be e-commerce sites. Here you can see the website, Dick's Sporting Goods, Baseball Express, HQ for Sports. So Amazon, you can see here. So what I was going to say is that it is difficult if you've just got a normal blog to sometimes outrank an e-commerce store. However, if you have an e-commerce store, you're in luck because if you do things correctly, you can also get up to the first page here. We're not going to be too concerned about this because this is really just a case study to show you how to use the software. But if you're targeting something that isn't related to selling items, so say for example, it's a niche website that is talking about stamp collecting. I'm not sure why that came into my head, but you're not necessarily going to be selling stamps. You're going to be providing information and content about stamps. So this is the kind of example where if you can find keywords between 20 and 30 or even less than 20, you have keywords here which are worth targeting because it's going to be easy to target. Now, I'm not saying that means you have to do a website on stamp collecting, but why not? Then you can use one of the ways to monetize the website, like AdSense, for example, and you can make money from it. What I'm going to do here is just cap the top amount at 30, just so it reduces our number of keywords towards a number that's more respectable and easier to use. Now you can see we've actually got 124, which is much easier to deal with than the original 3,177 that we had. So you can see by using a combination of the features available on this tool, it is quite simple to get your list down to a more manageable and realistic amount of keywords to look at. Now, if you're just creating a website and you're looking to create content over the next 6 months, maybe even longer, 120 keywords isn't actually so much information. If you did 10 articles per month, which a lot of web creators will create more, that's only gonna last you, a year, and that's using 10 a month. So another thing you could consider is the fact that you may want to use more than one keyword per article. Now, this is when you target a main keyword and then you also use a secondary keyword. And what this does is actually strengthens the article in terms of using 2 keywords that are very similar or go well together, and then using both of them within the same article so that you're targeting a wider range of people but for the same purpose. What I'm going to do here is export this list of 124 keywords, and this is going to be my final list that I work with. I'm going to open this in Excel and we're going to have a look at these keywords now. Okay, so I'm going to stop this video, open it up and get everything ready, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll have a look and compare these keywords against the ones that we had in the Google Keyword Planner. In this video, I'm going to show you how to tidy up the data when you export it from Longtail Pro. It's probably something you know how to do, but if you do download your data from a piece of software and when you do see it like this and you panic and wonder what on earth's wrong with it, you don't have to worry. You basically need to just move each of the data points into its own column. So we do that by clicking on column A when you open your file, highlight the whole column there, and then we're going to go to data and we're going to select text to columns. From here we're going to hit next because it will set the width of the columns based on one of the characters, and here you can select which character divides the columns. Now if you look at the data, you can see that logically each column is separated with a comma. If you remove that, you can see this is the sample of the text. It's a mess like it is here, whereas by highlighting the comma, it divides it nicely into the columns that it should do. You do that and hit next and then click finish. Then I always highlight and double click on that so that it widens each column as it needs to. Welcome to the final part of this course, Keyword Mastery. I really hope so far you've learned a lot and you're ready to start using keyword research for your next project. What I'd like to do before we end the course is just to give you some guidelines on how you can actually use your chosen keywords once you've done the research and you have a list of keywords that you would like to start using. There's a lot at the moment on the internet that talks about SEO, search engine optimization, and the way that you can give yourself an edge over your competition by doing certain things when you write pieces of content. Now the truth is that nobody knows exactly every single way that you can give yourself an increased chance of ranking your page on the first page of results on Google. It's just simply not possible. Google keep this a very, very closely guarded secret. But what we do get from time to time are videos and statements and releases that give us best practices and guidelines on how we should be doing things. Now, one thing I will say is that when you're actually doing your keyword research and you have your keywords, there are certain rules to follow which I would always say that you should do. I'm going to cover some of them in this section. I want to start off by giving you 5 tricks that I use for making the most of your keywords. These are things that I've picked up and learned along my own journey, and to be honest with you, they're not my own discoveries. These are things that I've learned by reading other people's blogs, by reading trusted material, and really just getting a feeling for what's working and what's not working for people. One thing I should mention is that nobody for sure knows the final rules about exactly what works and what doesn't. There's not one playbook that gives you every single rule one by one. Not only that, things change. What might have been a really good example of SEO last year may not be such a good example this year. One example I gave you earlier on in the course is the exact match domains, where you use your keyword as your domain name. This used to give you a real bonus and help you to rank higher in the search engine results, but it doesn't do that anymore. It doesn't necessarily work against you, you don't get any penalties for it, but it doesn't give you any kind of bonus, and there's actually more to be achieved by picking a domain that can be branded. So this kind of thing always has to be given some attention to, the fact that we are in a moving market, the internet is something that does constantly change, and so keep that in mind with these tips. But I've tried to keep everything general so that it should be evergreen in terms of it working for now, for next year, and in the further future. So first of all, I want you to always focus on one main keyword and a highly related secondary keyword. This basically means that when you're doing your keyword research, you should try and group together very, very similar words, or be thinking in your head about how when you're doing the content, you might be able to pull together one or more keywords into one article. So taking the example we used when we were doing the keyword research before, I looked at sizes for baseball gloves, and I picked one main keyword and then some secondary keywords which were highly related. What I would make sure I did when I was writing my article would be to ensure that there was a natural flow, and I combined all of those keywords. Later on in this section, you'll learn exactly where you can put your main keyword to increase your chances of getting higher on the search results. With the secondary keyword, I would say that just to use it where it's necessary, but always be mindful of it, okay? Second of all, using Google Auto Answer to get popular seed keywords. Now what this is the actual Google autofill. When you're typing a search query or a keyword into the search box and it automatically completes it for you. Some of the time you get some quite funny and random answers which are nothing to do with what you're actually looking for. However, if you're doing a search and you're looking for some seed keywords, or perhaps looking for other keywords that you might want to use, and keeping in mind that when Google auto-fills it for you, it's providing you with a list of popular answers. So there's a little tip there in itself, that Google's going to give you popular search results in autofill. So maybe it will help you find some good keywords to target. What I wanted to say though is, when you start typing a word in, like I could type in baseball glove and then see what autofill gives me, it's a good way to get long tail keywords, and it's also a good way to see what other people are searching for related to that keyword. Always look at the first page results and identify weak competition. This is 101. You should be doing this on every single keyword that you do. Just type it in the local country. Remember, this is something quite important actually. I haven't mentioned it previous to now, but say for example you're targeting traffic in the US. Make sure that when you do work on Google and do your research, that you're also looking in Google for the US. The same as if you're looking for keywords and doing targeting traffic in Australia. You'd like to go to google.au, the Australian version. I'd also recommend that you always use an incognito tab or a Mozilla, I don't know the name of a tab there, but one that doesn't keep history. Now this isn't because you're doing anything shady, but Google is always trying to develop and to adapt to the way that you like to search and the things you search for. Now, so that you don't get any biased results, I always use the incognito tab on Chrome, because in that way it hasn't used any previous search history or anything else when it's given me results. Another thing you should do is to look for opportunities to combine multiple keywords in one longer long tail keyword. Alright, now what I mean by this, it's different to focusing on a keyword and a secondary keyword, in the fact that what you could do is create one main long tail keyword that actually has shorter keywords within that. So, one example, best leather baseball glove. Now, within best leather baseball glove, you've got leather baseball glove, best baseball glove, best leather glove. There's a multiplication here, and this multiplication factor can really help you when people are putting search words into the Google search engine. Alright, so what I mean by this is really look for opportunities, but you have to make sure, and this links to my final tip here, it has to make sure the content sounds natural. Don't purposely write content with the keyword everywhere, which is called keyword stuffing. I'll come on to that in a moment. But make the content good. Make the content helpful. Make sure you're writing about something the person who searched for that on Google is going to find it useful. What Google does is take a lot of other factors, including how much time is spent on your web page when somebody does arrive there through one of the keywords. So if you're providing something that offers no value and they search for the keyword, they get to your website and realize it's really not what they're looking for, they're going to hit the back button on the browser, and this puts up your bounce rate. Now, your bounce rate is something that you can find out in Google Analytics, but basically it tells you how many people come to your website and hit the back button. The idea is that the less people that hit the back button means that you're providing a lot of value to them. So it's really important to focus on your content when writing articles and make sure it's natural. In this video, I'd like to give you some keyword usage best practices, and these are things you can do to improve your chances of ranking higher in the search engine results. I want to start off though by explaining to you that keyword best practices is only one slice of a much bigger search engine optimization pie. Now, to really push your content to the top of the search engine results, you need to be mindful of SEO on a much wider scale. You need to understand that there's other things you can do outside of doing good keyword research that are going to help you get to the top page. With that said, if you are very new to SEO, using keyword best practices is certainly going to give you a head start and get you off on the right foot to help you improve your rankings. Here's the first one, keyword in title. It's really important that you tell Google or Bing exactly what your article's about. It scans your content and looks in certain places throughout the article to help give a trigger and give an identification to exactly what it is you're talking about. You want to ensure that you put your keyword in the title so there's not any confusion. Another place to put your keyword is in the permalink or the URL. In WordPress, this is very easy because you can just simply edit it and change it with your keyword in there. Keep in mind as well that you do want it to look quite nice as well. So when somebody's looking at your website, they don't look up and see a horribly long URL. So just keep that in mind. But it's a good practice to begin putting your keywords in the permalink. Always include your keyword in the first paragraph of text. Now, some people, when they're writing the beginning of a blog post or article, they'll use bigger text, which comes under the categorization as H2, H3, which is actually heading text. And people do this to make more of an impact and to get people's attention by using big text first, and then the second paragraph starts as normal writing. Just keep in mind that if you do this, which to be honest with you I don't advise, that you include the keyword in the first piece of text that has the paragraph tags or is just the normal size. Here's one that people often overlook, and I think it's a really good idea to do it for two reasons. When you load images and put them into your content, you have the option to give a name to your image, the description. You also have an option for the alt tag, which is the alternative tag. What this basically means is if your image cannot load for whatever reason, the alt tag provides a piece of text that explains what the image is. One of the benefits of doing this that I see is that if somebody's searching on Google and types in your keyword, it improves the chances of not only them finding your image, but then going to your website after they've seen your image. The other reason of doing this is that Google itself and Bing and the other search engines will use this as part of a way to identify exactly what the content's about. I'd always include this. As I mentioned before, you don't just have standard text with any kind of article or content. You have H1, usually right the way through to H5, which are basically heading tags. This indicates that the piece of text that are within this piece of writing. We mentioned earlier about H2 and H3 tags, which are basically a way of indicating that this is a heading or a subtitle and something of importance. What you can do here is to slightly change your main keyword and put it here under a H2 or a H3 tag. So if you've got your main keyword as best baseball gloves, what you'd want to do perhaps is to put a subtitle somewhere in your content that uses some of those words, but perhaps in a different order. So you could perhaps ask, what are the best gloves for baseball? It includes your keywords, but in a different order. Now what this does is it shows that your whole article is relevant to your main keyword, and this will help you. I'd always ensure that at some points throughout your text, you give importance to your keywords, and not just your main keyword, but other related words by highlighting them as bold. Now this again gives focus to them. So if best baseball gloves is your main keyword, I would also put in bold various keywords to do with baseball, with gloves, with the best ones, maybe even a couple of the most well-known brands that you can find or might be writing about. This is because when Google and the other search engines are scanning your text, they're looking for things that are different, things that stand out, and perhaps as an indication that it's more important and relevant to your content. I'd also do the same with italics. One or two important keywords, put them in italic. It gives focus to them. And when you think that Google and the other search engines are really just computers scanning the text and using their certain algorithms to pick out certain elements of that text, if we know that they're looking for bold keywords and italics because it gives extra emphasis on the type of content that you have, then it's good to put that in there. Throughout this course, I realised that I've spent a lot of time telling you what you should do and how to do it. Now, as we reach the end of keyword mastery, I do want to just spend a few moments telling you about some important things that you shouldn't do as part of your keyword research and implementation. Now, I realise it must be tempting to try and use certain tricks that you think might be a good idea to give yourself an advantage, and unfortunately I have to be honest in saying you wouldn't be the first to have tried it. Google's really clued up to this, as well as the other search engines, and if any of them feel that you're trying to do something a little bit shady or something to get an unfair advantage, you could actually see yourself getting penalties, and this could be your content being prevented from getting to the first page of Google, to not even ranking, to having your whole website de-indexed. Now, to ensure this doesn't happen to you, I would ensure that you don't do the following things. The first is keyword stuffing, and as it sounds, it means stuffing your keyword throughout your article more than it would naturally appear. So, when you're writing your article, use the keyword and be mindful. Go back to the previous video and look at the places that you should definitely include it. And when you're writing your article, enter your keyword as it would naturally appear if you were just speaking or reading about it. Don't only write the content so that you can find opportunities to add it extra times. In fact, most people go by the rule that you shouldn't actually insert your main keyword more than 1% of the total content that you have in your article. So this means if you've got 1,000 words, you shouldn't include your main keyword more than 10 times. I follow this rule and have never had any issues. Now, keyword dilution is similar to keyword stuffing, but it's when you start using your keyword multiple times in titles, hoping that it will give you some kind of advantage. Now, unfortunately, it works against you. If you enter the same main keyword multiple times in one piece of text in terms of using titles or italics or bold, it's going to flag to Google and the other search engines, and it's instantly going to be seen as you trying to game the system. So don't do it. Now, the next one doesn't just relate to keywords, it relates to using content on the whole within your website or blog. When you write articles, you should always make sure that it's not duplicated from anywhere else. Now, I'm not suggesting that you would copy other people's content, but what I would make sure you don't do is copy your own content and post it twice on the same website or blog. This is why you should always try and find unique keywords each time you write a piece of content or a new article for your blog or website. The reason for this is that if you have the same keywords and same content appearing, Google will see like you're trying to cheat the system again. And again, you will also receive penalties, or you might even have your content de-indexed from the search engine altogether. Here's finally one that's a bit old school, but something that might pop into your head as a good idea. Well, let me just tell you it isn't a good idea. Invisible text. Don't think that you can somehow, trick the system by writing your keyword 100 times and then changing the colour to the background colour. So it doesn't actually appear visible, but your keyword's in there many, many times. It's not going to do you any favours. Google's got a very simple way of checking for any text that's the same colour as the background. Not only that, if you were to do this and put your keyword 100 times, revert back to the first point here of keyword stuffing. You have to be really careful to ensure that any keywords you use appear naturally and as they would as if you were having a normal conversation. If it doesn't sound natural, then my advice to you is not to include it. Well, this is the end of the course. I'm really, really happy that you've done this, and I really hope you've enjoyed keyword mastery. As I said, for beginners, this gives you an insight of how you should use keywords to begin writing content, being more mindful of how you can improve your chances of ranking higher in search engine results to get more organic traffic. One thing I want you to remember though is that the internet and online world is an extremely fast-paced and constantly moving industry. Keyword research is only one piece of the SEO puzzle, and I think it'd be foolish to think that after doing this course you don't need to learn anymore. This should just be the beginning. Here are 2 websites that I recommend you take a look at so that you can further your learning and really find a community of other like-minded people who focus on keyword research as well as other methods of SEO. First of all, moz.com. Now this is an industry standard and you can get the most up-to-date and professional information that you will find on the internet here. It's unbiased and it's honest, and it is not given to you with an ulterior motive or trying to sell you a product. This is where you'll get factual information about SEO today, including keyword research. The second is one of my favourite websites, and I love it because of the fact it helped me to get my own journey started online. nichepursuits.com is the website created by Spencer Hawes, who is the developer and owner of Longtail Pro. Now, as I mentioned to you before, Spencer documents his own journey and the projects that he's done, most of which use keyword research. There is an amazing community over there and a wealth of information. I really advise you to take a look over there and start reading on some of the articles and some of the tutorials that he provides. It's absolutely fantastic. Finally, I'd like to say congratulations. What you've done here takes commitment and you've done it well. Go through any of the videos that didn't make too much sense or that you need extra help with, and I really hope that you use the 2 pieces of software that I've shown you how to use today. Make sure you spend some time getting to know them and trying out the different features. What I've given you is a framework that will help you do really good keyword research, but you can actually go deeper than what I've shown you today. Make sure that when you're doing articles and creating content online, that you do give keyword research importance. This for me is the basis of all SEO practices. When you're writing content, you should always be mindful of doing the best practices and make sure you avoid those things I told you about. Another thing to take note of is to take action. Don't allow yourself to get bogged down in too much analysis, or analysis paralysis as they often call it, where you spend so much time trying to find the perfect keyword that you spend weeks doing research and end up with nothing to show for it. Find a keyword, but be willing to make mistakes. Be willing to learn from your errors, okay? So don't be afraid to write content, and as long as you haven't stuffed keywords or done something fatally bad like that, then it's no problem. You're going to become a better content writer by practicing. And this is why I should also say you should enjoy what you do. Make sure that you enjoy creating content and furthering yourself on the online world. Whatever reason you've taken today's course, it's because you have an interest in making money online. At least that's what I believe. If that is the case, you should enjoy this. There's a lot of money to be made on the internet, and considering how many millions of people use it, I'm sure you're only really after a small piece of that pie. Congratulations on completing Keyword Mastery, and thank you very much for your time. I'll see you again soon on another course.